Hello. So we are live. Bala, you can hear me, right?
Yes, good morning and vanakkam, Narayan. I do hear you well.
So we were just testing audio before this, and everything's good. So, on behalf of the Azim Premji Foundation and on the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi and the kind of program that we are finishing with, uh, I want to welcome Bharat Bala Ganapati to the program. Uh, so I'll tell you a little bit about Bala. First, I'll tell you a little bit about the sequence. So uh, I'll introduce Bala, and then we'll watch some films that he's put together for us, especially for this program. And then I'll have a chat with Bala on various aspects of Gandhi and so on. So that's the way we'll do this. We have an hour. So I'll go with my introduction. So for those who know Bharat Bala, you will know him as the person who made Vande Mataram, who made Janagana Mana, and is currently engaged with a large project called Virtual Bharat, which is telling 1,000 stories about India. But before all this, Bharat Bala used to be a very successful ad filmmaker. And if you remember, for those of you who might remember this, there used to be a Nescafe ad way back in the day. There used to be Hamara Bajaj way back in the day. All of these were made by Bharat Bala. But in the year, I think it was 98 or 99, this big thing, at least I was exposed to Vande Mataram in those years. And suddenly, Vande Mataram itself had become very, very cool for our generation at that time. And it entered. I remember reading an India Today article, and that was the first time I saw the name Bharat Bala, and I remember wondering, who's this guy? Yeah? Must be a cool guy and all that. Right? And this was way back in '99. So 20 years after that, I'm sitting in front of him, and I've also worked closely with him on a project we've put together and supported, which is the Virtual Bharat project. Um, he's also made a very successful film starring Dhanush called Marian, and you should watch it. Has great music, great visuals, great story. So that's a little bit about his work. But really, in every interaction with Bharat Bala, I'm always struck by how enthusiastic he is and how much in love he is with India. So, welcome to you, Bharat Bala. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Azim Premji Foundation, and thanks for doing this.
Uh, Thank you, Narayan. It's wonderful to start the first day of the October with a conversation with the foundation and keeping the subject live and kicking. The thought of Gandhi and Ahimsa. Uh, I still, I just want to check. You still find me a cool dude? You said in 1998 I was a cool dude, but I am now talking live with you. I hope you still find me cool. And, you know, just these ideas and uh, creativity is what that keeps us cool at different times in life. And as, you know, we keep finding as audiences keep changing. Okay, so the newer audiences are younger audiences, a new audience. So it's always exciting to say how are you going to connect and keep engaging with them in inspiring and seeing that creativity is alive and thriving.
Mm. Mm. And over the years, Bala, of the kind of audiences you have interacted with, although this may be a question for later in the program, but I'm asking it anyway.
Hmm.
How do you think that has changed? Like, how have audiences? I mean, obviously, people consume digitally, right? Um, what are the other changes you see in the way people interact? Because your core, which is essentially telling a story well, right, and telling it in a nice, goosebumpy, lovely way. This is the essence of what you do. How has that changed over the years, do you think?
I think dramatically it has changed, but at the core of it, certain things don't change because emotion is a constant factor. If it is emotional, doesn't matter, right? So that is timeless. Okay. But I'm just talking in the space of nation, values, country, people, society, etc. Things have changed because uh, I am so glad and fortunate that I could be born in an era and a time where I could still understand the idea of freedom, of coming from a colonial rule and oppression to moving into a free India and see that many people who are a part of it, and then seeing a totally new set of people who have no knowledge of it, and you are somewhere in between. So, both as engagement, uh, communication, all have gone through a transformation. Like an era where I first, growing up in school, got our first black and white TV at home, going into television, going into digital, internet, and now into a totally kind of a communication revolution that's happened. So you are able to relate to all of these, right? And still say, hey, you survived in each of these medium in an interesting way. And finding in each space, how do you connect with the audience, right? There is a, even in those days, there was a challenge for the reasons, whatever it was around that time. And today, there is probably too much of content, and still you are finding the same challenge in some other form. So, the idea to survive and the idea to engage and the idea to use creativity and say, how do you keep alive this communication is a constant discovery.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Bala. So that sets the tone for us to. So in Tamil they say padam pakalama. In Hindi picture dekhe, right?
पिक्चर
So
चालू
shall
हो जाए.
we? Picture chalu ho jaye. So Bakul, we'll play the films and then we'll come back to talking. So over to you, Bakul. So we'll watch a few films now.
Everybody looks for some hero. When I looked in history, one person I found who came out with all his inadequacies neatly laid out for the world to see was this man. Failed lawyer, bad public speaker, scared of speaking. Remember the first appearance he made in court, he could not speak two sentences straight. Only thing was he was honest with himself. He confronted all his inadequacies. He was honest and truthful about what he did not have. Then I found that this guy seems to be somebody whom anybody can follow.
I was one with the greatest man on earth. Through love, he captured the British. He wanted entire humanity to live in peace. He wanted everybody all over the world to live in peace. He didn't use any harsh words against them. He loved the British people. He requested them, please, it's our country. They admitted, yes, it is your country, we'll give you. That's how they gave it. And you'll have to wait for another 2000 years to get a man like Gandhi. bad that a great man has been killed. There's no point in crying. Refuse security. We could have saved it. But Gandhi was adamant.
चिठी दौछे रे हलधर चिठी दौछे रे हलधर दुख भर दर पिलाती टाकर कविता जन्म कर चिठी दौछे रे हलधर चिठी दौछे रे हलधर समाज के शुद्धि करबू बोले पहले तुई हो शौच मोर हाथ धरी घिचबू बोले आगे चढ़ तुई पाउच ई लुब लुबनिया संसार के देखी लालस थी नहीं मोर चिठी दौ छेरे हल धर चिठी दौ छेरे हल धर
So Haldar Nag Bala is really something else. Yeah. I just want so let's start with him. No, so in this when we're discussing Gandhi, why Haldar? Yeah, the other two films have angularities on Gandhi, but why Haldar?
I think the other two are very direct to Gandhi, and this is we need to find philosophically how is the engagement of values of Gandhi put in practice, in thought, in action, in the remotest corner of India, and on his own accord, he's taking it and doing it, is so promising, and he's a man to be celebrated, and he's so charismatic, and and powerful. And then the best part is he's not coming and telling me. He's going, he's writing his poetry and going from village to village, meeting people who are already very poor and asking them to take upon themselves societal responsibilities. That is compelling. They have much more to give. They are not asking anything. They're willing to give. And if they are willing to give, it's an eye opener. We need to learn. We need to know. We are just living in our own world. And, we are living in a world where we think that we will relate to communication and things which are, which we have been accustomed to. We are not going out of our comfort zone to discover. At the heart of it, everything is about truth. And there is so many truths across India, across humanity. And this needs to be discovered. And that is engaging, empowering. I don't want to make it too philosophical. This is the fact of the matter. Okay. For me, why I should do a Haldar Nag is, for me, he is my Salman Khan. If I can give him the cinematic power and package him in an interesting way, and if I can take his words and go and inspire a new audience who don't know his language, who don't know who is this guy wearing a ganji and walking barefoot in some back of beyond place, but listen, he is an inspiration engine. He's an Agni. That works for me. And to see the test of that is, we made this film on Haldar Nag, okay, and I know he's speaking in a language called Kosli, so he's true to what his, he's keeping everything alive, okay, of his tradition, of his literature, poetry, language, etc. So edited the film, and I said, let me show this to Gulzar Saab and get his reaction. Gulzarji didn't know who is Haldar, but that poetry just He he was like totally embraced Haldar instantly, and he said, "I said, Gulzar ji, aap inse kaise connect kar sakte ho? How do you want to connect with him?" So he said, "Haldar, मैं तुझे खत लिखता हूँ." And he started. And what is important is he was at this time publishing a book of 360 poems from all across India over a period of time since independence. And he decided to take Haldar to be the first poetry to present letters to Haldar. So it is the power of his thought. And he is not just sitting as in his thoughts, but he is also manifesting it in action. And that makes it a big difference and makes it an impact on society. So, as a creative person, for me, if I can find these kinds of gems which already exist, we are not opening our eyes, we are not traveling the distance, going the last mile to find and give respect to that soul. If we can take that and make it use today's technology and make it reach zillions of people, I think that's exciting.
Sure,
Sorry. Okay.
sure, sure. So, while we'll come back to the idea of Gandhi in contemporary times, so if we start at the very beginning, Bala, it's not like you stood shoulder to shoulder with Gandhi. You were born at a time after that, long after we had, but yet the way you speak about Gandhi, it's like you've seen him. So, where did all this start? And can you tell us the story about the interest in India, in Gandhi specifically? Can you tell us how that came to be?
So I was born to a family, not family, my father was part of the freedom struggle, and and lived entire life as a citizen. And so growing up, so we were in Delhi. My childhood was in Delhi. It's just not Gandhi alone. Gandhian values, yes, because it's your immediate father, the clothes, the thoughts, the actions he takes, and the how the element of simplicity which gets subconsciously, you know, entrenched in you when you sit in that environment. He ain't telling me about Gandhi at all, nothing like that. I just lived a life with a father who was that. So somewhere it just gets into it, right? And then you start celebrating it when you start understanding more. Earlier, I didn't understand. Growing up, this whole idea of nation, the engagement with nation in childhood was phenomenal to be in Delhi. Whether it is a Republic Day, every Republic Day, I'll be there up at Rajpath watching from the age of 2 every Republic Day, beating the retreat, Independence Day. This whole thing about it was as though it just happened. We just got our freedom maybe a day before yesterday. Is that kind of emotion was transmitted and engagement in your growing up years. So that was always so valuable. So I don't think if I was born, if I had lived somewhere else, I forgot that this is my strong opinion. I'm talking of Delhi of that 60s, early 70s, right? And then, um, so and whether it was school, your the activities that happened in Delhi, or growing up to, you know, if I may say, the idea of visiting museums. There'll be so many, like Gandhi Foundation will be running several museums. But it was interestingly taken, we visited all those places. Okay. So somewhere he was still, even though he was gone in 48, But in my growing up years, I could still feel that probably he was just there a few years ago. That was a kind of bringing up, growing up years were.
Also, Bala, I remember you telling me that you and your father had a exchange saying, advertising is fine. What are you going to do for India? Um, the in terms
Yeah,
of, so can you talk about that?
yeah. So I jumped into advertising straight from doing zoology. So I was fortunate this from the era of he has even captured photographer. So there is something that I imbibed from him, that the visual look and feel, that imagery of how to capture is probably my full inspiration is from him. So when I started doing advertising, I was very, your lifestyle. I used to travel a lot. I used to go to London for everything for post production, and then you're into Levi's, you're into many things in those days, right? And fashion, modern, or everything culture-wise, right? And in contrast, you come back, and he never interfered. He never said, do that. Total freedom. I also respect the way he was, right? Uh, a simple thing like say my father, okay, you think that I get from duty free the best of the cigarettes for my father, but he won't touch it, okay? And he hasn't even traveled outside of India, okay, ever. And even though I could afford to take it. So the point was that he thought that there's still more to discover to India. So when in 96, one day he sat and he said, I have big ideas in advertising for products in a way that consumers will empathize with the product and buy it. Why don't you create an idea that you can push fervor among young minds, inspire? And why don't you create an idea that young minds get engaged with the nation? Matram to me. And he said how Vande Mataram served a purpose during the freedom struggle. Leave that aside. Can you find a new purpose for it and a relationship with today's young Indians? And that was it. And that was it. So uh, So he gave me that whole thing about a creative challenge. Okay. And I don't know what he found or what, because he liked all the advertising work also I did. So somewhere he looked at it and said there is you know, and ideas. Most importantly, is all about ideas. And I think that big Agni in me, you know, to go and keep discovering. And I feel the very same energy of what I had in 96 even today, because there is so much to discover and experience. So you're always in ground zero, trying out new things. Related to something deep, there's so much learning one has to do, period.
Yeah. Yeah. In the
If
case of
my answers are
Vishwanath,
too long,
sorry.
correct me. If my
Yeah,
answers are too long, cut.
yeah, sure, sure. No, Bala, but you should just keep going. Yeah, we should just go raw, right? You say what you feel like. So the thing, Bala, is in a film like Chasing Gandhi, the story of Vishwanath and Jayaraman. There's a certain way in which you found him, and how people can take this Gandhi matter very seriously, and do the kind of things that this man ended up doing. So if you can provide the entire arc of what happened, where you found him, and then what the film is trying to say, and why it fits into the idea of Gandhi, why chasing Gandhi is a good idea, how you can go on an inside out journey. Can you speak about some of these things for us, please?
Krishna is a living, breathing that we can easily connect with today. Uh, I've seen him in Chennai when I go biking early morning around 4:35 when you're in the empty streets. You will find him around between 4:45 and 5, walking, running barefoot, bare body, with just one small, what do you say, khadi kacha shorts,
Hmm.
and running every day. So I ignored him initially. Then later, when I started doing virtual Bharat, so you're always looking for things, and something struck a chord. And then one of those days, I went and stopped and said I wanted to find out who he was. I realized that he is Vishwanathan Jayaraman, the senior most person in Southern Railway. He's the financial controller, a very high ranking officer of the Indian Railways. Go deeper, and you discover that uh, it's all about getting obsessed about something. So he a very heavy smoker, and he wanted to give it up, and he could not else. But the heart of it, he has somewhere connected with Gandhi over a period of time. But then he took that to get into a new obsession. One is finding a purpose and then engaging with that. Hello. So
Yeah, Bala,
yeah,
we're getting some drop off at your end, not of the audio kind, but of the video kind. Do you have another network over there, or are you joining from office? Is this correct?
yes, I'm in the office. I'm in the bandwidth network. Uh, is it better now?
Do you have another one that you can try? Because the parts you're mentioning are so interesting. The tech is yeah. I think we have you. Do we?
Yeah, should be. I can see you well. I
Okay.
can hear you very well.
Okay, so we're getting some drop off, maybe an issue at our end. I mean, one doesn't know. Yeah, but keep continuing. So you're saying this guy who was a heavy smoker wanted to discover a purpose, was the most senior person in the was one of the most senior persons in the Indian Railways. And go ahead.
Yeah, so transforming himself about 16 years ago to a Gandhian way of life.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating that today, in this, you know, world where we live in, where there is too much information, so much pollution, both in content and in real environments, okay, that one person is not in isolation. He's still within the system, engages in the same environment you and I are, and still can lead a life of simplicity inspired from Gandhi, and follows certain principles and still can live and thrive in today's. So that example, it's not about just how he personally for himself did it. That is one thing, or how he is living. But he is still coexisting with everybody. He's not going away to say, मैं एक आश्रम में रहता हूँ, मैं गांधी जैसा बन लेने रहने वाला हूँ. नहीं. He is living in the heart of Chennai. He is mingling with everybody. You can see he is running bare feet, bare body every day, and you will find next to him a young kid wearing 20,000 rupees worth of Adidas or Nike sneakers and some heavy duty outfits and trying to say, oh God, I'm going to go for a marathon. And he runs 32. This kid will be preparing for a marathon once in a year, right? And the discipline has given him a way where he runs 32 kilometers every day for the last 15 years. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
And
try doing anything, right, for 15 years.
yeah, and he has a happy family, he has everything normal, and he's still like another thing is like say he can the position he is in, he'll get a car and a driver, has a huge place, bungalow, but he still takes public transport to go to work. So the choices we make is where you will differentiate. And it is about saying, hey, I can live in this minimalistic way so that I preserve many things. You can go and it's. I'm not asking everybody, but I'm just saying there is some definite inspiration, and so that you can find certain answers which you haven't found, and you can value that and experience it. So he's a phenomenal example, and I found the title also very, 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 very interesting. While you were discussing about, he's truly chasing Gandhi every day of his life, okay, and continues to chase Gandhi. That's what is exciting.
Are you in touch with him now?
Oh, very much, very much. Yeah,
And what is his response to the film? I mean, it had a lot of views on YouTube, no?
yeah. He's like, no, no, no. You put too much light on me, too much. He said. But I said, sir, it is important for people to know. Otherwise, how will we? This is important about finding such kind of stories. Haldar Nag, Vishwanathan Jayaraman, and to be amplified and taken to mainstream. I don't want to be sitting in some separate track to say, hey, it is Gandhi, it is something to do with social service, it is something to do with philosophy. तो इसको जरा हटके करते हैं नहीं, we will be in the mainstream. We should be where mass media is, and we should be there competing, compelling, and engaging. So that's where creativity comes. And you say, if you can park your creativity, and whereas audience who are seeing some regular masala stuff are able to see this and say, hey, I still feel good watching it. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's where the transformation starts beginning. And then imagine if you can consistently keep giving lot more, discovering Vishwanathan Jayaraman's, Haldar Naths from every district, every corner of this country. Wow. You know that those values are so deeply entrenched and living and thriving. They are not leaders. They are their own leaders. We are into herd mentality, looking up for a leader. No, you don't need. You are your own leader. If you can function and take that responsibility and engage, that's it. Then you will see societies will change, values will already be existing. We don't need to tell anything. It has to be absorbed, imbibed, engaged.
So, a friend of ours, Shalini Praveen, Jennifer Shalini Praveen, who I suspect I know, is asking how can Gandhi's life and principles be emulated today? What's a vision we may begin to follow? Which is, if you were to think of the idea that Gandhi is still here, right? And he is I mean, he's really relevant in today's times, right? And what's the kind of vision? If there is there anything that young people and not so young people can is there? So, what are your thoughts there, Bala?
See, Mahatma Gandhi is a timeless asset for us. Okay. He is relevant at all times. So
Mm.
when I was filming with Shimon Peres, the Nobel Peace
Mm.
Prize winner, and he was the Prime Minister of Israel at the time,
Mm.
said Gandhi doesn't belong to the past; he belongs to the future.
Mm.
So the values and the ideas, because as long as there is injustice, oppression, and violence, okay, his ideology is always relevant. And we are in a society of greed, right? So there will be oppression, there will be violence when everybody is fighting for the same pie. So in that sense, Gandhi is always relevant. And uh, I I'm amazed to see that you know we take it for granted, right, in India. But when you travel all over the world and you see how people engage, young people engage or talk about Gandhi in a conversation when it happens, it's so inspiring because they have really gone deep in and understood him.
Mm.
So um, he's going to be here for the next 1,000 years, 2,000. He's now becoming like a Buddha. Okay, Buddha, Gandhi, and
Mm.
he was so only 150 years ago. So in that sense,
Mm.
he will always be relevant. And when you say he, it is not the physicality of the person; it is his thoughts, his actions, and that's it.
So one of the key moments in his life that I remember really locking into as a kid was this Nathuram Godse moment, right? The assassination moment. Mhm. And you've made a film about it. Uh, examining it in a very strange, unusual way, right? Which is through the eyes of Kalyanam and Sarlaben. And people who saw, I mean, almost very, very close to the action. So can you talk about that film now, Bala? Assassination and its
So
making?
actually, it all started a year before when they said, okay, it is going to be the 150th year of Gandhi. And what are we going to do so unique? How can we engage and bring some more new relevant stories? As days are passing, we are losing a lot of people who are a part of that history, right? So we said, let's discover people who have been closest to Gandhi and who are still alive and we can engage. So we knew that there would be hardly 8 to 10 people. And I'm telling you, of all these years I lived in Madras, Chennai, I we discovered V. Kalyanam just under 3 kilometers from my residence where he has lived. And he continues to live. He's 94. V. Kalyanam was the last serving private secretary to Mahatma Gandhi in the last 6 years. And he was 6 inches away from the bullet when Gandhi was shot. So we never went and said, hey, let's make a film on assassination of Gandhi. So we decided to meet people who were closest to Gandhi and alive and willing to tell us some amazing stories. So another discovery in Mumbai in found Sarla Behan, who at the age of 8, who started living with Bapu and Kasturba in Sabarmati Ashram. And she was there with him, walking along with Abba, Manu, and Sarla with Gandhi when he was shot in Delhi. And she's here. So decided to take Sarla Behan after 72 years back to Sabarmati and let her walk through that ashram of Hriday Kunj and discover and remember moments, emotions, history, and bring it alive and tell us something very simple that existed and uh, how it's amazing. The film is just releasing today, called Sarla Behan, and so that takes us to Sabarmati and brings us uh, how Gandhi spent his 18 years, and all the time Sarla Behan was also there at Sabarmati. So the assassination, then when we started talking to all of them, we started getting the moments, what really happened. When Kalyanam said that he was there, and then, you know, he had to rush to give a call to Jawaharlal, and they all call in first person,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so it was so interesting because we always have now made them as gods, and we
Yeah,
relate to
yeah.
them in a different way, and they're all calling in first person. And so that was interesting. And then also to find through archives, I found Gopal Godse, who's Nathuram Godse's brother, and who was the first man to create the attempt to assassinate Gandhi, and he failed. And the
Mm,
following day later, Nathuram made an attempt, and it happened. So it was, all these pieces came together. One thing is, Ryan, when you engage and when you have a deep intent, you find answers no matter what it is. So you say you want to find people, man, you will find those people. It is that's the power of truth. You really want to do it. It's like 20 years ago, I said, as a tribute to my father and his philosophy of living a life of Gandhian values, what is it that I can make a film on Gandhi as a tribute to my father? So just came up with the idea to say, hey, let's go and do an idea on ahimsa. Because there's so many documentaries. You've seen a classic film by Sir Richard Attenborough. So let's travel the world and find in a violent environment where does non-violence exist. So we said, let's film leaders who were a part of a violent history, but chose the non-violent way forward for the betterment of their society, of their people. And let's go and discover them and talk to them. So that took us on a journey of meeting Nelson Mandela, Gorbachev. So who are we to get all these leaders and all that? But the idea. So when you have an idea and when you really believe in the idea, we can discover Kalyanam, we can discover Sarlabhai. And then there is a person whose film we have not yet released, but we're working on it. His name is Mohammad Baji from Orissa. He was 102. He just passed away about 6 months ago. Okay? An amazing story. He always wanted to be with Gandhi. Okay, from Orissa, from Bhubaneswar. So he wrote and kept on writing to Gandhi. And finally, he said to come to Sevagram Ashram. And Mohammad Baji walked from Bhubaneswar to uh, Sevagram Ashram in Nagpur. I went and met him, served him, and then he said the way to go and live and serve his society, in community and his village. So Muhammad Baji dedicated his life, entire life, lived the Gandhian way of life, and imbibed those values in his village, in his society, throughout his life.
Sure.
Those are amazing stories.
And there are chilling moments in the film, right, where
Yeah.
Sarlabhen actually says he got shot like ton, like one, two, three, usne
एक
maar
दो
diya,
तीन
and
एक
ek
दो
do
तीन
teen maar diya, and all that, right? Oh man, it's just really bone chilling.
And in first one saying मैं था, आबा थी, मनु थी, प्यारलाल थे, and हम 10 मिनट लेट हो गए और बापू को गुस्सा हो गया कि हम लेट हो गए प्रेयर के लिए. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
really
so
chilling.
glad that we are able to discover our team, our people, all as a team, Virtual Bharat as a team, are able to discover and find these stories, preserve them. They are timeless stories, and then keep telling them to the entire world.
So
Gandhi
people
doesn't
born in
belong
the
to us anymore. Gandhi belongs to humanity.
even. One of the things, Bala, I'll now make a counter argument, and the counter argument goes like this: there are people born in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe 80s, right? But let's say 90, I'll just pick a year, 95, 96 onwards. I have a hypothesis that the way in which people consume Gandhi has changed, right? And like you're saying, Gandhi belongs in the future. The counter argument to that, and we should talk about this a bit, is that he is not being received in the same way. In the amazingly glorious way that we have, he has permeated our being, right? And there are many things that happened. For example, Ben Kingsley's essaying of Gandhi, right? The kind of work you have done, in the recent past, definitely the assassination of Gandhi, right? So I'm about to make a statement that I want you to reflect and work with, which is that as the world is becomes younger, is Gandhi at any danger of disappearing? That the real idea of Gandhi, and therefore, what can we do to keep it alive? What are the ways in which we can keep the story of Gandhi going? Can you talk about this, Bala? And why? A colleague was telling me that this is the time. Now you need Gandhi, right? But still here, as
But at every time you feel the urge of having certain values, which is a vacuum in the society at that time, right? So, yeah, today we feel maybe 20 years later, that generation will feel he's more relevant for the time. So I don't know how to be honest, I don't know how to say, hey, let's keep Gandhi alive. No, that's not our job. It has to come organically. You need to feel it. You cannot trust it. See, the thing is, we have not, I would say, in our communication, in our engagement, in taking him to new ideas. We've kept him boxed and kept him in a certain place, and that's it. But we need to adapt and engage him in new ideas. Then he becomes relevant for that time. So, like the Arab Spring that happened, okay, in a way, there is some definite engagement and understanding of a non-violent protest. There is a definite learning. So you cannot just wash away things by saying, because he always had a violent option. So we cannot. I don't know. In my own way, I'm just saying. I'm a filmmaker. I just go by what excites me. I'm not getting into a much deeper societal impact study on how to keep Gandhi alive. वो मेरा काम नहीं है सर. वो मैं एक इंडिविजुअल हूँ. मेरे को जो एक्साइटमेंट आता है मैं शेयर करता हूँ. In that sense, somebody should write a beautiful song. If there's a beautiful song on Ahimsa, right? And if Coldplay can sing it and come organically and says he feels the need to do it, it's alive. So it will happen, sir. We don't need to design anything. If each one has their own way of discovering their Gandhi, we should respect that. Let a lot of muck happen. We'll still discover with the Gandhi, right? So how in Naukali, so much of disturbance, the man went inside and said, "I will stood. I stood. He stood his ground." Okay, and brought about a change. In like that, we have to believe that uh, that at all times we can find another way. At all times, we can find another way. You know.
say more, Bala. I think you're on to something. That we can find another way. Say
Yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah, and uh, and don't be reactive. This whole thing about counter engagement, about saying, okay, oh, they are trying to silence me. We don't need to get into that. Let them do what they have to do. Let them reach whatever audience they have to reach, or let them bring any other. We need to say, hey, can we bring a conversation, a discourse, an engagement. Okay, who are the believers? Don't keep whining to say it's not happening because this is polarized. No, in the polarized world, we can succeed. Have that belief. Have that. Again, you have to find another way. And if there are creative minds, apply, find that another way.
Sure.
सर जब
So,
प्यास है पानी कहीं से भी खींच लेंगे हम ठीक है so I just being I'm a very idealist positive thinker okay in this disturbed world, I think we can still find some answers as long as you have the conviction and the process and the way of wanting to find the and the conviction is there कर सकते हैं
yeah.
and we
So
need to
we'll
be
go to,
able to
sorry.
be this discourse so high get it please understand simple people reach them in the simplest way and engage with them and respect them just because he cannot be ideologically thinking so high do not disrespect the other person yeah
So, Bala, there is a person who is a fan of your work and the films that we do. Her name is Tara. Tara Balagopal works in HR in the Azim Premji Foundation. If you're asked to capture the essence of Gandhi in a word, what would it be? Is it possible? गांधी को एक शब्द में डिस्क्राइब कीजिए. What's the
one
essence?
word ahimsa that you can find and truth a man who's tried all his life and cost him many things, but he kept on discovering truth.
Also, Gandhi Bala was a fairly strategic mind, no? As in the
Yeah,
sense, it's not
I
like
think
okay,
he,
I mean, let's
he would
flip
have.
this, let's invert the game. All this Gandhi did, but he did it so well.
No, I think today if he was here now, you don't need a Mark Zuckerberg. He will come up with a much better idea to connect people and engage with people and bring about the whole, of uh, engaging people together. Today you have Facebook, this, that, etc. Right? What a strategy! I'm just thinking today we are thinking in a very divisive way because of our. Suddenly we have realized there are so many languages. Oh, you are from South, you are from here, there, etc. Right? A man who didn't even speak that language, and there was no way that the publication will reach South or his language, and nobody knew that personality. But then, even then, people walked out not knowing what he's understanding his language, still stood by him, walked along with him. The entire nation came together with him. So, what is the issue today? Is is a deficit in our leadership. When I talk about leadership, I'm not mentioning political leadership in this. I leadership at any level. You just need simple leadership. For you don't. It's not about governance or it's not about uh, social reforms. This that. It's about quality of discourse, quality of people, quality of leadership that people can engage and move along with and build about a just society. वो तो बहुत ही no
Nice.
I,
So, Bala,
yeah
there is a person who has worked with you in the late 80s, Ravi Sridharan, in producing ad films. So he says hello to you
yeah
and
hi
promises to connect with you soon. So Ravi Sridharan says hi. Anand Shankar is asking that if you were Gandhi, what would you suggest? I mean, would you suggest the establishing of Gandhian schools in India, considering the present scenario of the country and the way of the world? Uh, would you, so if you can see the question and you can respond to that?
See, I don't think we should transform and say this is Gandhian studies. We just have to take the values. When people start taking those values or the um, and it impacts and there is a betterment of society, you will celebrate Gandhi. But if you head in and say, okay, this is the Gandhian school of studies, I don't think people will accept it. You just have to take those core values and make it permeable across every platform of education. And when they start showing result, people will feel Gandhi, accept Gandhi in a more organic way. He has to come into our subconscious.
So Sunil Sar is asking, all the films published under Virtual Bharat are truly appealing, quite thought provoking, sensitive, etc. How would Virtual Bharat capture minds of those who find themselves enjoying memes or memes or whatever, memes, I call them memes, and TikTok kind of videos? So, Virtual Bharat versus TikTok, why will Virtual Bharat hit TikTok out of the park? Can you say?
I think both has to coexist. Let's put it this way, because um, TikTok gave the first expression for the people to say, "Hey, I too can be what I have always dreamt or looked up to entertainers, and I now can entertain people." So it gave the first freedom and confidence to people. So in that expression, I salute that. But the competition level is so low that I too was enjoying TikTok, but I think virtual Bharat is equally important. I want people to have both, and that's the best way we can keep our entertainment engagement intact.
Our communications leader is Sachin Mule. Sachin Mule asks, while you made a film about chasing Gandhi, how do you go about finding Gandhi within yourself? How does Gandhi को अपने आप में हाँ
मैं कैसे बोलूंगा गांधी को? सो आई वेयर पैटागोनिया, आई वेयर यू नो अंडर आर्मर. सो मैं खादी तो नहीं पहनता हूँ, राइट? But my father till the very end wore only khadi, but I love khadi too. So uh, I have to see my purity and my thoughts and my action, and not what I wear, how I live, etc. But my headspace, if there is good values which you have absorbed or taken some from of his learnings, and which are practical, and you can express it and make it something good for you, is that's the way I imbibe Gandhi.
I was also thinking, Bala, in terms of the future itself, when you say Gandhi belongs in the future and Shimon Peres said that, huh, can you characterize that? I'm having
Yeah,
a
that's
hard time believing it. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I don't. I'm in that space. The Gandhi future में है, ये समझाओ.
टाइम ट्रैवल करके देखे.
कौन सा?
टाइम ट्रैवल
अच्छा
करके
टाइम
देखे.
ट्रैवल करके देख.
100 साल बाद नारायण me, let's have a conversation with we will still find that he is still relevant. He said this is not, we have given the name Gandhi, right? Because he took certain values and presented it to humanity, and it served humanity, and it served humanity the right way. So we celebrate him, right? So is is just branding. It's the quality of humanity is what that will always be there as long as humanity is there. And when So we've coined that great quality of humanity as Gandhi, right? So it's bound to exist. So like Shimon Peres says, there are two kinds of people. One was Napoleon, and the other was Gandhi, right?
And who
And
do,
just
yeah.
see,
Yeah.
yeah, and see what happens, right? And see who is remembered, whose legacy, who's there, whatever, right? So
So, Virtual Bharat's latest film is called Ahimsa and will be live on YouTube. It's very, very, it's a very, very different sort of a film and is headlined by Azim Premji himself. So, all of you should check it out. These are the kinds of conversations. So, for example, Shimon Peres, for example, Nelson Mandela. So that will be live on YouTube. That is live on YouTube, and you should catch the film. I'll be sending that out to uh, our colleagues very shortly. So we are at the end of the hour. If there are any last questions, we'll take them. And you can ask questions for about what 5 7 seconds. Otherwise, I'll move into my thank you routine. Three, two, one. Okay. So thank you, Bala. Hmm. It's
come
amazing
on,
because
Narayan.
when we pinged you, when we pinged you about doing this, right? Bala just instantaneously agreed. He said, "Of course, I'm on." Right? And that's been the defining feature. How easy it is to work with Bala, and how he takes off into this emotional space whenever he's discussing anything that has to do with filmmaking or storytelling. I think whether it's Gandhi or whether it's the idea of India, stories from India, I think Bharat Bala is a very unique asset that we have. So thank you, Bala. Please go from strength to strength. Thank you for spending time, and we'll meet again soon. Hmm?
Thank you so much, Narayan. And you're still connected to a cool dude, I suppose, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, they are exciting times. Yeah. We got to keep our engagement exciting and discovering, and so it's amazing. And uh, thank you for inviting me for. I didn't know what I'm going to do with such a heavy subject like Gandhi, but I said, "Nee, let's keep it simple." And I think you made it simple. I hope the conversation was interesting enough. Okay, thank you so
It was
much for.
superb. Yeah. Enjoyed it a lot. I think everybody enjoyed it, and all of them. There are many fanboy comments there, saying, "I can't believe
It's
this is
okay.
Bala, this is Bala," and all that. So it's great. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
So I hope people should watch the today's film on Ahimsa, which is
Yeah.
released, and you should share it with people. And that's the way we can keep the conversation going and engaging.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Nandri Bala. Bakul, over to you. Shall we leave studio? Shall I click leave studio? You can click leave studio, Bala.